Welcome back to Namaste Node.js Season 2, and we are building Dev Tinder. Our project was created in the last episode. We created a repository. We have installed Express into it. We saw that how you can create a new server inside Express, and then we also created some dummy APIs, isn't it? We created some dummy APIs, right? We created some routes and we created some route handlers also, right? We created this and we saw a basic implementation of a small server onto our system. We learned a lot more about package.log.json, package.json, node modules, and I also gave you the homework. Hope you have finished your homework, because now in this episode you are again going to get a lot of homework. Don't you worry. Okay, so let's just get started with today's episode, and we will move ahead and start building our project even more ahead, right? But before moving any further, I want you all to create a Git repository and store all your code over there. A lot of you might have already done that, isn't it? But then if you haven't done it, I will show you the practical demo, right? How you can create a Git repository and push your code to GitHub, because this is very, very important. A lot of you are developers. You should already know how to push your code to GitHub. But then if you don't know it, I will still teach you. Don't you worry about it. Okay. So let us just initialize our repository, create a Git repository, and then let us also push it onto GitHub. Cool. So how do you initialize this Git repository? So see, our project does not have Git right now, right? So we will initialize our repository. We will do git init, right? If you'll write the command git init, so it will initialize the GitHub repository. Okay. So basically our repository is now initialized by Git, right? Now our repository is initialized by Git, right? And if you will see over here, you will start seeing 518. What is this 518? It says that we have made changes into 518 files. Did we make changes into 518 files? It is saying that, see, we have 518 files that were changed. Right? We did not make any changes to 518 files. We were just working with two files, right? app.js and package.json. That's it. We don't know, app.json and homework.md. We don't know about others. So basically those 518 files are coming from your node modules. This is not the code that we wrote. This is not the code that we basically want to put into our app. This is the code which has come up through dependencies. These are dependencies of our project, right? These are dependencies of our project. This is not the main source code of our project. Okay. Now let me tell you one more interesting thing. Okay. So suppose if I delete my node modules, right? Can I delete my node modules? Let me delete it, move to trash, right? I have deleted my node modules. So suppose if your node modules is not there, now should I panic? No, I don't have to panic. I just have to go over here and do npm install, right? That's it. I just have to write npm install, and what will this command do? This command will basically go to the package, the JSON of our project. It will see all the dependencies that my project has. For us, it is Express, and it will again install all the dependencies over here. And then our node modules will again be created exactly how it was. With this command, our node modules was again created exactly how it was, and it again downloaded all the dependencies onto our system and kept inside node modules, right? And again our changes become 518. Okay, so interesting, right? So suppose if you lose node modules, don't have to worry about it. As long as you have package.json and package.log.json, you exactly know how to recreate your node modules. Okay. By the information which is there in package.json and package.log.json, you can again create your node modules. You don't have to worry about it. And that is also the reason we never push node modules to GitHub. Right? Suppose if we will push our code, our local repository to GitHub, we will never push node modules onto GitHub. Why? Because see, we can regenerate it anytime, and it is not even our core source code. our source code is just app.js, right? And the src folder and maybe the other folder, other files. But node modules is something which we will never need, right? Whenever we will download our project from online into a new computer also, I can just write one command npm I or npm install, and it will just install and recreate my node modules. So you never need node modules onto your GitHub repository. Okay, so always avoid it. But right now it is saying 518 changes. I don't want to put 518 changes. I want to ignore my node modules. How do you ignore your node modules? Let me tell you how. To tell Git not to track some folder, you have to make a Git configuration, and you have to create a file which is known as git ignore file, right? How do you create it? You create a new file on the root of the repository and call it .git ignore, right? When I create a .git ignore file, you have to write it exactly how I have written it, right? Just write .git ignore, and over here, whatever path you will give, Git will ignore that path, right? So if I will give it node underscore modules, right? And if I save this file, it will ignore the node modules, and see, now it is just showing me that we have only made changes to 5 files. What are these 5 files? Let me click on it. These are the 5 files which we have made changes to, right? App.js, we have made changes to this. Package.json, packagelog.json, homework.md, git ignore, right? These are the 5 files which we really need. And node modules, whatever you will write inside this .git ignore, this node modules, all the files inside node modules will be ignored, right? Similarly, suppose if you had to ignore my homework, right? Suppose if you have to not put the homework.md onto your GitHub repository, just save it, right? Now the homework.md is also ignored by Git. But we don't want to ignore homework.md, so let's keep it over here. We just have to ignore node modules. We have kept it over here, right? So similarly, going forward also, if we will find something which we don't have to push to GitHub, right, which we don't have to push to remote, then we will ignore it, right? We will put the path of that inside git ignore, and it will ignore it. Cool. So now our repository has 5 changes. Let us just commit the 5 changes. Do you know how to commit 5 changes? See, you can either do it from the UI. In the VS Code, you can just click on this button and it will, see, you can add the changes like this, right? And you can just write a comment over here, created, created a server. And if you will click on this button, it will make a commit. Right? This is through the graphical user interface, right? This is through the UI. But if you don't want to do from the UI, then in the command line, you can write some commands like git add and dot. That means git add dot. Dot means all the files. All the files which are available, right? All the files which you see in green, right? All these files will be added. If you want to add particular file into a commit, then you can write the path of the file also, right? Git add, suppose homework.md. You can also do that. But I want to add all the files, so I will do git add dot. Now I have added all the files to my staging area. Now I will make a commit, git commit -m, and then the commit message. You can either do the same thing via here, or you can either do the same thing from here, right? It is one and the same thing. Now if I create a commit, created a server, express server, right? Express server. In the last code, the code that we have, we created a express server. Now, if I commit this, see, I committed it. See, now my commit is done, right? Now I have made a commit onto my main branch. This is the main branch. Now I want to push all the code to GitHub. I want to push all the code to remote. What do you mean by remote is, see, this is our local repository, and over here on GitHub, we can create a remote repository. Okay, so how do you create a remote repository? So go to github.com/new. So first of all, you will have to go to github.com, log in. Once you log in, right, it will ask you for your password. It will ask you for your, if you have enabled two-factor authentication. I have already enabled two-factor authentication. I have logged in, right? I am already logged into my account. So just go to github.com/new after you log in. So you will see a place where you can just create a new repository. So I can create a new repository over here. Just name it dev Tinder, right? Let's name it dev Tinder over here. And then let's create a public repository and leave everything as it is, right? So we can create this dev Tinder repository. Let's create a repository, right? It will create a new blank repository for you. Now, what we have to do is we have to connect this GitHub dev Tinder to our local repository. How do you do that? So GitHub gives you this command, right? See, you can either clone this repository to your system, or you can link, push an existing repository from command line, right? This is what we need to do. I don't want to create a new local repository, right? I want to push an existing repository from command line. So you have to do this, right? I'm copying this code, right? Not code, commands basically. And this command basically, first of all, in this local repository, it will set the remote origin URL. What is our remote origin URL? Remote origin URL is this: github.com akshaymar7/devtinder.git. This is the repository. Now I want to push my own origin main branch, right? I want to push my local main branch to the origin main branch. So this commands will work. So if I hit these commands, it will basically take all your code and it will put to GitHub. Will my code be there on GitHub? Let us just go ahead and see. Let me refresh the page over here and I will see my code over here, and I can also see my homework over here, and we don't have our node modules over here because we never wanted it to, right? So we have got this. So we have created a Git repository. Now comes the part where you have to do a homework, right? Let me add it to your homework. You have to do you have to make a Git repository and push all your local code into Git, right? So what you will do, you have to take a pause at this point of the video, right? And do this homework, right? Create basically, first of all, you have to initialize Git, right? Initialize Git in your repository. Initialize Git. Okay. Then you have to git ignore, right? Git ignore. Now let me tell you one more important question. There is a difference between package.json and package log.json. Why have we pushed this package log.json onto GitHub, right? This can be a question. An interviewer can ask you what is the difference between package.json and package log.json, and should you put package log.json onto GitHub or not, right? This can also be a question. So this is a question for your curiosity. You should find your answers yourself, right? So initialize Git repository, then make a git ignore file, right? Ignore node modules. And then what we will do is we will create a remote repo on GitHub, or you can use whatever you wish to. If you use Bitbucket, you can use that also. If you use GitLab, you can use that also. But I use GitHub. Use GitHub. GitHub is free and easy and everything is good, right? Why not? So create a remote repo on GitHub, right? And then push all code to remote origin, right? Push all code to remote origin. Okay, so take a pause over here in this video, do till here, and then come back and watch the video once again. Okay, take a break, do till here, and then come back and continue watching the video. Okay, welcome back, my friends, and hope you have created your GitHub repository. Now let us just move ahead and write some amazing piece of code. Okay, and let me explain you some important topics also. For now, I am just closing this homework.md file. And let us go back to our app.js file, isn't it? Cool. So over here, we have created few routes. This is the slash route. This is the slash hello route. And these are the route handlers for them, right? And if you go to the browser, we were testing it from the browser. If you go to slash, it gives you Namaste Akshay. Why it gave me Namaste Akshay? Because we have this Namaste Akshay route handler, right? What if I go to slash hello? What should it give me? it should give me hello, 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 isn't it? If I go to slash hello over here, what it should give me? It should give me hello, hello, hello. But no, my dear friends, it will not give me hello, hello, hello. Let us go to hello, and it still gives me Namaste Akshay. Oh my god, did we write something wrong? Right? Over here we have this hello, right? Check the spelling also, Hello, and I am written Hello. Okay, we are not mistaken. This is basically not going to this route handler. What about test? If I go to slash test, will it work? Even the test is not working. Even the test is not working. What if I go to some random URL XYZ? Will it work? It is still not working. If you write anything in front of this, it will not work. Why? Why? The reason is because it will always be taking this route handler. But why? What is the reason? Let's figure it out, right? So let me just comment it first of all, and let us check, is it happening just because of this, or is it happening because of something else, right? If I remove this, what will happen if I go to hello? What will happen now? If I go to hello, what will it give me? Will it give me hello, hello, hello? Or will it still give me Namaste Akshay? Tell me, right? Interesting, right? Let me tell you, it will give me hello, hello, hello. If you will go to test, it will give hello from the server, right? And now if I go to XYZ, what will happen? Tell me. Quickly tell me what will happen if I go to slash XYZ. Tell me. Yes, it will give an invalid route error that I cannot get XYZ because it does not exist. But what is so special in this code that if I introduce this code, this code basically overrides everything, right? Now any other route does not work. What does it mean is, see, when you do app.use and you pass some route, so this means that if any route matches this route and it starts with this and basically it's kind of like a wild card, right? Anything that matches after this slash, this route handler will handle it. Anything that matches after this slash. That is why everything is going inside this route handler. Right? Suppose if I remove this now, let me show you an example of what I'm trying to say. See, I have this hello, it gives me hello, hello, hello. So it gives me hello, 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 right? Suppose if I go to slash hello slash XYZ, what will happen? It will still give me hello, hello, hello. So basically, this handler will not only handle my slash hello, but it will also handle anything that comes after slash hello. Suppose if I am doing slash hello slash 1, it will go to this route. If I do slash hello slash XYZ slash something, if I do XYZ slash 123 slash 456, anything will match to this route because it starts with slash hello. Right? So do you understand that? That is why it is taking it up. If I go to slash test, right? If I go to slash test, what will it do? It is saying hello from the server. As expected, it is going to this route handler. But what if I do slash test slash hello? Will it make a difference? Tell me. Will it make a difference? No, it will again go to the route handler of slash test. So what I am trying to say is, if your route is starting from slash test, then anything after that will be matched inside this route handler. Got it? But don't think, but sometimes it can be confusing. There is a corner case and a lot of people misunderstand that if anything starts with hello and now you write anything that will match, no. If you write hello 123, it will not match. It will not match. Right? It will not match. Why? Because this hello 123 is a different string. Right? When I say your route should start with slash hello, it should start with something like this, slash hello slash anything. Right? then this will be matched with that URL path. Now let's go back and try to revert our code and see why things were working. So if you go back to slash, right, it gives you Namaste Akshay. If you go to slash, it will give you again another Namaste Akshay. It will go to slash something. It will again give you Namaste Akshay. So basically, anything that you put after it will be matched over here. But let me do one more interesting thing, okay? Let us move this route from here. Let us move this route from here to here, right? Will the sequence of code matter? This is my question. Will the sequence of code matter? Trust me, my dear friends. All this is very, 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 very basic fundamental things. A lot of pro Node developers also don't know it. There are so many developers who are working in Node.js since so many years, but still if you ask them these small things, they will not know it. But I want to teach all my students the best and in depth as much as possible with a lot of code examples. I am taking efforts to put this out code example so that you become better. Once your fundamental knowledge is strong, then you will not get into bugs. Otherwise, you would spend like hours in just figuring out why my routes are not working. Right? Because see, routing is a very, 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 very important concept when it comes to your application, right? Backend application has what? Routes, right? APIs are what? API routes. So your application is nothing without these routes. So you have to be really good at it. Okay. So let me just show you. If I change the order and now if I go to slash, what will happen? Right? If I go to slash, what will happen? It will give me Namaste Akshay. What if I go to slash hello now? It gives me hello, right? Just by changing the order of my code, a lot of things get changed. So what I am trying to say is, whenever a request comes to server, where is my diagram? Here is my previous diagram. We are listening to port number 3000, not 3000, we are listening to 7777, but it does not matter much, right? Whatever port we listen to, 7777. Okay, we are listening to port 777. Whenever a request is coming, so basically the code will start running from the top, right? It start matching the route from the top. Okay, is the route slash hello, right? If it is hello, it will return the results from here. If it is not hello, it will go to this. If it will not match this, it will go to this. And this order is very, 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 very important. Never think that the order is not important. Order is very, very important. Right? Suppose if you do, let me just take an example also. Right? If you do slash hello slash 2 over here, right? Slash hello slash 2. So let us say that, okay, abracadabra, right? Abracadabra, right? Okay, so let us just write this. Now, if I go to slash hello slash 2, what will happen? Will it print? Tell me. This is your question. Will it print abracadabra or will it print hello, hello, hello? Tell me. It will print hello, hello, hello. Why? Because as soon as this request comes from the browser, it will first of all check this route and it will exactly match this route and it will go to their request handler. But if I write it in this order, now my routes will work properly. If I go to refresh it, it gets me abracadabra. Got it? If I go to hello, it will give me hello, hello, hello. Okay, because see, if I go to slash hello, see, it can be a lot confusing because a lot of students ask me these questions that Akshay, my route has slash hello over here, but if I write slash hello, it is still going over here, right? This one, because see, if you do slash hello, it will check, does it match slash hello? No, this will not match because it also has extra things over here. Extra things also there, right? So it will not match this, it will go over here. But if you will change the order, then it will make a difference, right? So what I am trying to tell you is I am trying to put fundamental basic concepts clear in your head that order of writing the code, order of routing the routes matter a lot. Okay, this is what I want to show it to you. Okay, let's just move ahead. But before I move ahead, you have to, let me just give you some homework, right? You have to play, right? You have to play with routes, right? And extensions, route extensions, route extensions. Example slash hello slash hello slash 2, right? So you have to play with all of these routes, right? And please do whatever I did and experiment with yourself, right? And if I still go and do something XYZ over here, it still gives me, see, it will still give me Namaste Akshay because it is still matching the wild card over here, right? And play with these routes. And the important lesson over here is order of the routes matter a lot, right? It's very, very important, the sequence of the order of these routes. Cool. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Pause the video right now over here. Go back to your system. Play with your code, experiment, do a lot of crazy things, write different types of route, and then come back over here and I will teach you one more amazing thing next. Okay? Welcome back, my friends. Now let me tell you one more important concept, okay, which is HTTP methods, right? You know what are HTTP methods? There are different type of HTTP methods which I have already told you. What kind of HTTP methods do we have? Remember, I was telling you HTTP methods in the last episode, right? Previous episodes. These are the HTTP methods: post, get, patch, delete, right? All these are HTTP methods. You can make a get call, you can make a post call, you can make a patch call, you can make a delete call, right? These are the HTTP methods which are supported by browsers and supported by the HTTP protocol, right? Now you know already about HTTP protocol. If you don't know in depth, go read about it on the internet, but these are different type of HTTP method. Now let me tell you one more interesting thing. Remember, right, when we did not had this route slash, let us just remove this wildcard route, right, first of all from here. And if I try to call this XYZ from here, it says that cannot get XYZ. What does it mean? What does it mean? Let me just show it to you. Let's go to the network tab of our browser, right? Let's go to this network tab of our browser and let me refresh the page. See this. It says that cannot get XYZ over here. It made a get API call. Do you see this HTTP method, request method? What is this method? It is making, basically it is exactly making a get API call to /XYZ. Right? Whenever you know, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of students don't know about this. Whenever you type in some URL, whenever you are going to some URL, you are basically hitting this URL. You are basically making an get API call to this route on our server. By default, whenever you write any URL on the top of the browser, that makes a get API call. How do you make a post API call? How do you make a post API call? So basically, you just, you know, you will have to write some explicit code to make a post API call. You cannot do it directly from here, right? You cannot do it from here, right? And I don't know if there is a way to do it from here, but you cannot directly make a API call from the browser like this. But we can make a API call from the, from over here, right? If we can make a fetch call from here, we can make a post call from here. But suppose if I want to test some post calls, how will I test? Will I always keep writing this code, fetch code over here? No, that's a poor way. For that, for testing our application, for testing our APIs, we will not be using browser. Browser is the worst way to test your APIs, to test your route, to test your backend code. Browser is not a good way. Browser is not a good way, my dear friends. Got it? So whenever we were making some routes, we were testing it from the browser. It's not a good way. So what should we use now? You should ask me, right? Akshay, what should we use now? Let me tell you, there is a software which is known as Postman, right? Postman. And you have to install this software in your system. There are different types of software, right, which you can use, but Postman is a very standard software. In a lot of companies, this is used. Postman is good, right, and it's free, so why not use it, right? So the basic version is free. There might be some extra things that they would be offering, right, but you can use it for free. Go over here to postman.com, and this basically, this application, Postman application, is generally for API testing, right? You can test your APIs over here. Okay, build APIs together, and you can even share the APIs with other people, and it's kind of like a repository where you can like collect your APIs, right? So just install this software. I already have installed this software, so I will not show you how to install it because I already have it. But please just go over here. You can just download the desktop app for Windows, Mac OS or Linux, right? Whatever you wish to. I am using a Mac, so I already downloaded it and I have already installed it. Once you will install Postman app, you will have to create an account. So just log into Postman, right? It will ask you for authentication. And I am not showing you all that process because I have already installed Postman in my system. But in case you will face any issues while installing Postman, or if you are not able to log in, or if you are not able to start the application, just Google it. Because see, for me, everything worked smoothly, but a lot of students complain sometimes that, okay, Akshay, Postman is not working. I am not able to install. So please figure out the answers for yourself, because for my system, it was working very perfectly, and for everybody it works perfectly, but sometimes here and there some things can happen, right? So it's obvious, right? You should do it yourself. Figure out what is not working, right? Go to Google and find for any errors if you get any errors. Otherwise, just install it. Now let me go to Postman and let me show you how Postman looks like. So I have opened this Postman. This is Postman for us, right? It is asking me for update. An update has been downloaded for Postman. Restart now to install the update. No, I don't want to update it right now. I'll update it later. Cool. So now, once you go into Postman, it will look something like this, right? It will look something like this. This is very, it's looking very empty right now. But the first thing you'll have to do is you create a workspace for yourself, right? You can create a workspace for yourself, right? Here you can go to workspace on the top, create a workspace, right? You can create a workspace. I have already created one workspace, my workspace. So otherwise you can go over here and you can create a workspace also, right? You can do create a workspace, and then you can create a blank workspace next, and then you can write the name of that workspace. Okay, let's create a new workspace. Let me just show it to you, Dev Tinder. Okay, let's create a new workspace, Dev Tinder. And now see, you can either keep it personal or everyone from Interstellar. This is basically my team or something, but I don't want to add anyone to my team. I just want this workspace to be my personal workspace, right? And then create. So once you create the workspace, it will take you over here, right? Close this. Now you will have to create a blank collection. Okay, so basically you create a workspace, then you create a collection. Collection means basically a collection of APIs, right? Nothing more than that. You can just, so basically see, suppose if you have 100 APIs, so you can make it into smaller collections. Suppose you have user APIs, then you have admin APIs, so you can make different type of collections. It is like files inside a folder, kind of like that, right? You are creating a new folder inside over here, but it does not matter much. Create a new collection. But see, workspace means a whole workspace, right? It's separate for your project. So we have created a new workspace for our Dev Tinder. Cool. And you can switch to different workspaces from here. Now let us make a new API call, right? How do you make a new API call? You can just click on this new and then it will ask you what type of API call do you want to make. What type of API call do you want to make? I want to make a HTTP call, and once you go over here, it will give you some interface where you can add your request, right? So now I want to change my request. I am making it is I want to so click on new. It says HTTP. I clicked on HTTP. Now it is asking me what type of call do you want to make. Do you want to make a get call? Do you want to make a post call? Do you want to make a put call, patch call, delete call, head call, options call? These are all the HTTP methods which are available to us. When we were doing from browser, right? When we were doing from browser, when we were doing this 7777, it was making a get call to slash. If I do slash hello, it will make a get call to hello hello hello. Right? So similarly, let us just do the same thing over here. I will just make a get call to this URL. Okay. Let me take this URL. Let me paste it over here. And if you will click on send, it will send the request and see this. You have got this hello, hello, hello over here, my dear friends. Got it? So we have successfully made an API call using Postman. Got it? We have successfully made an API call using Postman. It is exactly like doing it from a browser, but through Postman. This is a good way. Now you can also save this, you can just save this if you want to. You click on save and it will save the URL, right? And you can name it, right? It's a test get call. Okay, test get call. Cool. So I can just save it. Where do you save it? In a new collection, save it, right? So now I will get a test get call. Now I can, if I want to ever go and make a call to slash hello, I can just make it from here and send it and it will give me hello, hello, hello. What if I want to make a call to test? Okay, let's make it to test. If I click on test, it gives me hello from the server. Hello from the server. Cool. So we have made this API call over here. Right, this is what I wanted to show you basically. Now, what you have to do, my dear friends, you have to take a moment. See, why we are using Postman is not the reason to make get call, but it will help us in future to make post call, put call, patch call, delete call, options call, head call, right? All the different methods it gives, right? And it will make our life very, very easy, right? It's a good way, right, to test your APIs. Cool. So we have installed it. Now your homework is install Postman app and and make a test API call. So basically, before making a test API call, you'll have to make a workspace /collection. And after that, you have to make a test API call, right? From there, right? You can make a test get API call and we will see about the post call and other calls very soon. Don't you worry about it. Cool. So this is your homework. Pause the video right now and come back and I will see you very soon, right? And implement Postman, download it, install it, and then come back and continue watching the video. Welcome back, my dear friends, and hope you have installed Postman in your system and you have tested your first get API call. Now, let us just test our first post call. Okay, can I make a post call? Let us create one more new HTTP call and let us make a post call. Suppose if I want to post some data, and suppose if I make a post call to this /hello, right? If I make a post call to this /hello, and let me just send it, right? And let me just send something. It again gives me hello, hello, hello. Is it not different, right? Let me first of all save it, right? Testing post call, right? I am testing post call, save, right? So this is my post call to /hello and this is my get call to /hello. it is giving me the same result, right? It is giving me the same result. It is giving me, so if I go to hello and send, it gives me hello, hello, hello. If I go to this get call and if I go to hello, it is again giving me the same call. But why it is giving me the same? It should do different things, right? Let me give you an example why it should do different things. See, suppose if I make a get call to profile, so it should get me the data of the profile. If I post some data to the profile, it should save the data to the DB. The URL is same, but the method is different, right? How can we handle different methods differently in our Express application is what we are going to see next. Okay, so right now, suppose, let me take an example to you. Suppose if you make an API call to, so see, I'll give you a task. Okay, I'll give you a task. So suppose if I make a get call to user, so it should give me the information about the user from the database, right? It should give me, right now it is giving me error over here, right? Cannot get user, but it should give me the data of the user. And if I make a post call to user and if I pass some data, it should save that data to the database. Okay, it should save that data to the database. Right now it is giving us error. So this is the use case. So let us try to do it. Let's remove all the routes first of all. Right, so let me tell you how to do it. So for testing, let us just keep this test route. Otherwise, let us remove all the other routes. Cool. So what we have to do is, I want to handle my get call separately and post call separately. Right? So how will I do that is, I will not do app.use to handle it. I will rather do app. See, it gives you a lot of options. You can do app.get. And if you do app.get and if you do a user, now this method will only match get API calls to the route/user. Do you understand this? If you do use, this will match all the HTTP method API calls to/test. But this route will only match, this will only handle get call to /user. Okay, if you do app.get/user, it will just match get API calls, and then we can again, as the syntax is exactly same, request response, and now we can handle it, right? We can just send them some data, right? Why not? I can send them maybe user data. Maybe I can send them. So right now I don't have a database or anything, but you can just make a call to database and send the response, right? You can say first name is Akshay and then last name is Sani, right? This is my data. I'm sending back the data. Shall I test this API? Now shall I make the user get call to /user? If I send it, see this, it gives me the user data. It gives me the user data, my dear friends. Do you see amazing thing, isn't it? Right? What if I make a post call? What if I make a post call to user? Shall I make it right now? If I send this call, it is still giving me cannot post /user. Do you see this? If you can read this, it is saying cannot post /user. I cannot make a post call because it is not handled, right? If I do app.post over here, so see, how do you handle post? App.post, and then you handle user like this, right? Now what it will do? you will basically do a console log save data to the database, right? Save data to the database, and then send the response that, okay, send the response data successfully saved to the database, right? This is the response. So basically over here I am doing just a console log, but assume that, okay, you are saving the data over here, right? You can just write a comment saving data to db, right? You can write the logic to save data to db and then send the response that, okay, data saved successfully. Got it? Now if I make a post call from this postman, if I hit the send, see this, it says that data saved successfully to the database. Now my get call is not interfering with my post call. They are both separate calls. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing, my dear friends, right? Now we can similarly, suppose if I want to make a delete call, you can make a delete call. If you want to delete a user, right? You can make a delete call. Okay, you can say res.send and then you can say deleted successfully. Okay, you can just go again, you can make a delete call. How do you make a delete call? Right, make a new call, go to delete and just copy this URL and make a send, and it says, sorry, my bad, raw. Okay, raw, pretty. Okay, so it says that deleted successfully. We have got this response, my dear friends, right? Let us save this API call. And I have saved it, right? You can rename it if you want to. You can do whatever you want to. Okay, /user. Generally, a good habit, and I love to keep my URLs like this, /user. Okay, and then I can just, I don't know, I just love to keep the URLs like this. It helps me understand, right? So basically I'm making a get API call to /user, I'm making a post API call to /user, I'm making a delete API call to /user, and I have written the handlers for all of them. But let me tell you an amazing thing. What if you write a app.use and you write /user over here, and then and then you write like this, right? I'm just trying to show you all the scenarios, my dear friends, because this is very, very important. Okay, see, /user, and then I can do res.send. Okay, and let's go back. Let's make a get API call now. If I send it, see this, it gives me If I go to post, it gives me And now you also know why it is giving you this. Because the order matters, my dear friends, isn't it? Okay, so the order matters. That is why it is all the routes are matching over here. All the routes are matching over here. And then, it is just, see, all the methods are handled over here. If you do get API call, it will handled by this route handler, and others were handled over here. So these never got a chance. Okay, these never got a chance to execute. This was the testing of the user. Now comes the part of the homework, and you have to take a pause at this moment, and you have to test. You have to basically make write logic to handle get post patch put, get post patch put, all the you have to handle all the API calls, delete, right? You have to handle all delete API calls and test them on postman. Okay, postman, not post name. Sorry, my bad. Cool. Welcome back, my dear friends, and hope you have tested out get, post and delete APIs, and hope you are excited to learn more. Let's just quickly move on to cover the last portion of this episode, right? And I will play a lot more about the routes inside these Express application. Okay, I will tell you a lot more amazing things about routing itself, right? Before that, let me just make a commit so that you can get this commit. Okay, so basically exploring get post delete, right? This was this, right? Let me just make a commit over here. Cool. Let me just commit it. This is the UI. It's easier to make the commit, and I can also sync the changes if you want to, but let me just keep it like this. Cool. I have made the changes over here. Now I can basically safely remove all of it. I want to show you one important thing, right? Okay. Let me remove all these things over here. Now let me just show you some advanced things about routing over here. So you know that, okay, when you write app.get/user, it will match what? It will match what? We have already seen that if a request comes in and it is /user, it will match this. It will also match /user/user ID, right? Or /user/xyz, right? It can also match /user/1, right? All of these things you can match. But there can be complex things that you can write over here, and that will also match your routes. Let me show you what complex things. Now let me just tell you some more advanced routing concepts. Okay, so suppose if we have a URL ABC and we go over here and we make a call to ABC, it works, right? So, but suppose if I put a question mark in front of B, right? In front of B. So that means now B is optional over here. Let me save it and let me go back. If I make a call to ABC, it will work. But if I make a call to AC and send, it will also work. Do you see this? Now my ABC, because of this question mark, AC also works, right? My AC will work. It will work for /AC and it will work for /ABC also. Got it? Now, what if I changed this a question mark to a plus? What do you mean by plus? So these are advanced routing techniques. Now, right, you should know all of it. It is kind of like a regular expression, right? I will show you, right? Regular expressions also work over here, right? I will show that to you also. But what if you write A, B, C? So now A, B plus C, what does it mean? It means that if you make a call to ABC, that will work, right? It will work because it is intent to work. But what if you write A, B, B, C? It will also work. What if you write A, B, 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 C, right? It will also work. And if you write C, C, it will not work, right? It should match the pattern. It should match the pattern. This pattern means that A and C should be at the last. But if you write A, B plus, that means you can add as many B's as you want to. What if you write something like A, B star C, D, right? What if you write A, B star C, D? What will happen now? If you make a call to A, B, C, D, right, this will work. But this means that if you write A, B and then anything in between and then towards the end you write C, D, it will work. Right? So what I mean to say is if you write A, B and you write Akshay over here and you send request, it will also work. Basically, you can write anything over here in between and it will work, right? And if even, but you have to make sure that it starts with AV, it ends with CD, and in between there is a star, means anything. Got it? So this is what it is. Now, if you change it to C and you remove D, now it will not work because you have removed and mismatched the pattern over here, right? So we have seen what happens with the question mark. We have seen what happens with the plus. We have seen what happens with the star. These are some things that you want to add. Now, there is one more thing I want to show you that, you can even add, suppose if you are writing this question mark, you can even add you can even group things together, okay? So basically, if you write A and in bracket BC and question mark, now it means that BC is optional, right? Now it means that BC is optional. Let me save my file over here. Let's go and over here, let me write A, B, C, D and see if it works. It works, right? And now I said, right, BC is optional, right? BC is optional. So if I go over here and if I write AD, it should work. See, it works. But if you write ACD, should it work? It will not work because it will break the pattern, right? It gives me error. Got it? So similarly, what I am trying to say, you can write like this. You can even write like this. ABC plus. What does it means? Right? What does it means? You can write ABCD, it will work. But if you write AB and then you write BC, 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 right? And then you hit send, it will work. Do you understand these patterns? I want to show you these small things. You know, when you will be building a real world application, you might not need all of it. But at least you as a Node.js developer should know that something like this exists. At least we should know, right? Right? Not knowing is like, ever we got a chance to use it, we will not be able to use it because we don't even know. But at least we should know that something like this exists. But let me tell you, in real world application, I have not used all these complex things. But you know, there can be some cases where you might need it, right? That is why I am teaching you all of these things. Now, let me also tell you that you can also write regex over here. Instead of a string, suppose if I remove the string, right? And I write some regex. So if I write something like this, A. Now, if any of my path contains A over here, if you go to /A, it will work. See this, it will work. If I go to /B, right, it will not work, right? Because it will not work. And if you go, suppose in the URL anywhere A comes, right? If you write cab, /cab, it will work. If you write car. So this regex means that if in the path A letter is there, it will work, right? So similarly, this is what I'm saying, that okay, this regex can also work over here. What if, let us also write some complex regex. So if I write /* and I write fly and then I write $, that means the end, right? And then I give it this regex, right? Let me save it. What does this regex means? You can write complex regex also. This means that if the route starts with a star, that means you write anything in starting and then it ends with a fly, it will work, right? If it ends with a fly, it will work. So basically, if you will write something like this, butterfly, right? Butterfly and send it, it will work, right? If you will write fly, what will happen? It will work. If you will write dragonfly, should it work? Yes, it works. But if you will write dragonfly 1, will it work? No, it will not work. It will fail the regex. See this. So what I am trying to say, my dear friends, is that you can play and experiment with a lot of things over here, right? Routing can be complex, routing can be different, right? I have shown you different examples. So please go ahead and test all these routes, right? And play with these regex, because this is very important, my dear friends. Yes, cool. Let me tell you one more important thing, okay? So routes can be like this, but routes can also be something like this, okay? Let me also show you one important thing. Suppose if you are calling as /user, and sometimes you might have also seen that while we are making a get call, we do something like this, right? User, and then we also give it, suppose, maybe a dynamic user ID, right? So basically, suppose I want to give user ID is equals to 101, okay? So this is my user ID. Got it? So if I make a call to this, can I read this user ID over here? Can I read this user ID, or will it even match this? Yes, it matches this because it responds correctly, right? But how can I get this user ID in my controller, right? This is basically a controller, or you can call it as a route handler. So how can I get my query params in my route handler? So how can I get it? Let me tell you, you just have to do a console log. You do see, this is response object, this is request object. So on the request body, you will find it. Not the request body, sorry. On the request, if you do request.query, right? Request.query, if you do request.query, so now this query will give you the information of this query parameters. Got it? This will give you the information of these query parameters. And let me just save this file, go back, make an API call. And if I go over here, do you see this user ID 101? User ID 101 is here. Okay. What if I want to send more, right? You can add a ampersand over here. You can send more, right? You can say, I can also say user is 101, and then I can say that user ID is this, and then maybe name. Okay, I don't know, name is a bad thing to pass over here, or maybe let's say, I don't know, right? Maybe ID and password. Right? You should not be sending passwords like this, but what is password is testing, right? And let me send it over here. If you send this URL, see this. It gives you the user ID and password. Basically, this is how you read the query parameters. This is how you read the query parameters. What if you want to make the routes dynamic, right? Suppose you might have already seen that, okay, sometimes you do something like this, user/101. You do this, right? You do this sometimes, right? User/101, user/777, user/707. How do you handle this? How do you handle these dynamic APIs? So basically, you kind of handle it like this. Let me just show it to you. You will do user/ and then you will add a user ID like this. User ID like this. And now if you do this, now it will match all the routes like this. User/707. So this user ID will be 707. But how do you get this 707? Let me just tell you. It is known as request.params. Okay. It is known as request.params, right? If I save it, if I send it, then if I go to console, it says that user ID 707. And similarly, you can even have a complex route. Like you can say XYZ. Basically what I'm trying to say, user ID colon maybe name, right? And then maybe password. You can add any dynamic. And this colon means that it's a dynamic route, right? So you can write it like this, and then you will have to send it like this, right? User ID. And then what is the second thing? Name, XYZ. Name you can pass in Akshay, right? And then you can pass in password, right? Testing. And if you send this, if you go back, you will find all these parameters. All these parameters over here in the console, right? In the request.params. So what is there for query? Request.query, request.params for params, and we have also seen dynamic routes. See, routes can be very, 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 very complex also, because it's a regex. Regex can be as complex as things, right? But these are the basic things we will be using it further in the further episode as we build our own application. So that is why I want to make your fundamental and basic ground level knowledge very much clear, so that we can move ahead and be ready when I will be teaching you, when I will be writing code in future, right? When I will be writing all of it, then I will not have to explain everything again and again. I want to explain this theory to you right in front over here. A lot of questions can also be made, interview questions around this, but I will give you the homework now. This is the last homework for this episode. The last homework is explore routing, different kinds of routing, and use of question mark, use of plus, use of parenthesis, and use of star in the routes, right? You have to explore all of it, right? And also regex, right? Use of regex, right? Sorry. Use of regex in routes, right? I am writing all this homework. You have to do it, okay? Please, I request you to please do it. /a, and then I took an example, right? Star dot star fly, and then dollar, and then slash, right? So you can try out these regex, and you can create your own regex also, right? And go to the Express documentation, read about more about routing, right? It will make your understanding even more clearer, right? And then how to reading, right? We will reading the query params, query params in the routes, and query params and reading the dynamic routes. Okay, so you have to do all of it, right? You have to do all of it. And let me tell you over here. Okay, so over here I am just saving it like this. I don't know how to do this, but I would have saved all the previous things, but don't worry, I'm not saving it over here. I will just save it like this, right? Let me just make a git commit also. Let me just make a git commit. Playing with the routes. Okay, playing with the routes, and let me commit it. Yes. Okay, and now I have committed my code. So okay, so this was all in this episode. If you have enjoyed it, if you have liked it, then please share a word about us on social media. And all this knowledge what you have gathered, make notes, practice it. If you will not practice, you will not understand. You will have to practice everything, and this will, this is interesting, isn't it? All of this is interesting. So play with it. Once your basic foundation is clear, it will be easier for you to do complex things. Okay. So my request you to please do the homework, push your code to GitHub, and then also write a social media post about whatever you have learned. Share it over LinkedIn, tag me up, share it on Twitter or any other social media platform, whatever you use. I am everywhere. Just tag me up and I would love to see your posts. Thank you for sharing, right? A lot of people are already sharing it on social media about Namaste Node.js. Thank you so much for that. It helps us reach more people. It helps me reach more students. And it's a very big honor for me as a teacher to teach so many students, right? And thank you for helping me for this mission. And hope you are enjoying this series. And let's continue to build a lot of cool, amazing thing. In the next episode, we are going to see a lot more cool things, my dear friends. Trust me. We are going to see what are middlewares. We are going to see multiple route handlers. We are going to see much more complex things. The path of learning Node.js is just becoming slowly. We will increase the complexity. I'm trying to go as slow as possible so that you are slowly learning advanced topics, right? Because this is zero to hero. I will take you to advanced topics also, but I want to go slow so that everybody is on the same pace. All the college students, all the newbie, all the people who are coming from front end to back end, all the people who are learning for the first time coding, everybody will understand from this series. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next episode very soon.